Dirty little liars like you make me sick. You people steal everything. Flight attendant Brenda Matthews snatched the boarding pass from 8-year-old Amara Johnson's trembling hands. She held it high, making sure everyone could see, then slowly tore it into tiny pieces. The fragments fluttered down like snow. Fake tickets, fake tears, fake everything. Brenda's voice carried across the gate. "And where's your so-called father? Probably ran off like they all do." Dr. Kendrick Johnson froze at the check-in counter 20 feet away. His daughter's tears hit him like bullets. "Security! We have scammers here!" 12 phones rose in unison. The live stream counter exploded. American Airlines Flight 447. Departure 28 minutes. One assumption. One mistake. One father who owned 12% of the airline watched his child get destroyed. Have you ever watched power destroy innocence, not knowing that innocence held the real power all along? Flight departure. 26 minutes remaining. The digital countdown on Gate B7's monitor pulsed red. Dr. Kendrick Johnson dropped his medical equipment bag and sprinted toward his daughter, his sneakers squeaking against polished terminal floors. "Amara?" His voice cracked across the gate area. Brenda Matthews spun around, her lips curling into a smirk. "Oh, look who finally showed up. Let me guess, another fake ticket?" Kendrick reached his daughter and knelt beside her, gathering the torn boarding pass pieces. His hands shook as he tried to fit them together like a jigsaw puzzle. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" "Daddy, she said we're liars." Amara's voice was barely a whisper. Jenny Rodriguez, passenger in seat 12C, had been recording since the first torn piece hit the floor. Her Instagram live stream showed 3,247 views and climbing. Comments flooded the screen faster than she could read them. "This is disgusting! Someone help that baby! Where's the manager? I'm calling American Airlines!" Flight departure. 24 minutes remaining. Gate agent Patricia Wilson emerged from behind her counter, clipboard in hand. Her eyes swept over Kendrick's faded jeans and plain gray polo shirt. No designer labels, no expensive watch, no obvious signs of wealth. "Sir, I'm going to need to see identification and proof of purchase for both tickets." Kendrick stood slowly, his jaw tightening. Of course. He pulled out his wallet, a simple black leather fold, nothing fancy. His driver's license showed the same last name as the tickets. Patricia examined the documents with theatrical precision, holding them up to the light as if checking for watermarks. "These could be forged. Happens all the time with—" She paused, her eyes flicking between father and daughter. "With certain types of passengers." The words hung in the air like poison gas. "Certain types?" Kendrick's voice remained calm, but his knuckles whitened around Amara's hand. Flight departure. 22 minutes remaining. Brenda stepped closer, emboldened by Patricia's support. "Look, we've seen this scam before. Single father, sick kid, first-class tickets they clearly can't afford. It's textbook fraud." "My daughter has sickle cell anemia," Kendrick said quietly. "We're flying to Atlanta Children's Hospital for treatment." "A convenient excuse." Brenda's eyes narrowed. "Where's the paperwork? Real patients have real documentation." Amara tugged on her father's shirt. "Daddy, my chest hurts." Kendrick immediately dropped to her level, checking her breathing. Her lips had a slight blue tinge, the beginning of a crisis. His medical training kicked in as he reached for her emergency inhaler. "She needs to sit down, now. She needs to leave." Brenda blocked the boarding gate with her body. "Both of you." Flight departure, 20 minutes remaining. The crowd was growing. Passengers from nearby gates had wandered over, drawn by the commotion. Jenny's live stream had reached 8,500 viewers. Someone had started the hashtag #HashAmericans_Against_Discrimination. "This is 2025, not 1955, shouted an elderly white woman from the crowd. "Just let them on the plane," added a businessman in an expensive suit. But Patricia and Brenda stood their ground. They'd seen their type before, trying to game the system with sob stories and fake emergencies. Security Officer James Park arrived, his radio crackling with static. "What seems to be the problem here?" "Fraudulent tickets," Patricia announced loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Father-daughter team classic con." Officer Park looked down at Amara, who was now sitting on the floor, struggling to breathe properly. Something didn't feel right about this situation, but airline personnel had authority in these matters. Sir, I'm going to need you to come with me while we sort this out. Flight departure, 18 minutes remaining. Kendrick's phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. Board meeting moved to 3 p.m. Emergency vote on quarterly projections. He deleted it without responding. Right now, nothing mattered except his daughter. Please, he said to Officer Park. Look at her. She's having a medical episode. The stress is triggering her condition. Amara's breathing was becoming more labored. Her sickle cell disease meant that stress, dehydration, or altitude changes could trigger a painful crisis. The humiliation and anxiety were doing exactly what Kendrick had feared. Daddy, she whispered. I'm here, Princess. Just breathe with me. But Brenda wasn't finished. Oh, how touching. The acting lessons really paid off, didn't they? Flight departure, 16 minutes remaining. Jenny's live stream exploded. The viewer count hit 12,000. Screenshots were being shared across Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok faster than the platforms could track them. Someone had pulled up American Airlines customer service number and was posting it in the comments. Others were tagging news outlets and civil rights organizations. The hashtag #GroundThePlane started trending. Patricia noticed the crowd's growing hostility and doubled down. People, please return to your gates. This is a routine security matter. Routine? A young black woman pushed forward. Y'all would never treat a white family like this. This isn't about race, Brenda snapped. This is about fraud prevention. Flight departure, 14 minutes remaining. Kendrick carefully helped Amara to her feet. In her small hand, she clutched something that caught the light. A medical alert bracelet with custom engraving. Most people wouldn't think to look closely at a child's medical jewelry. Daddy, can I call Grandma Rose? Amara's voice was weak but determined. Not right now, sweetheart. But Amara was already reaching into her small purple backpack, pulling out her phone. It wasn't a cheap device. It was the latest iPhone with a custom case that looked expensive up close. She scrolled through her contacts with the practiced ease of a child who'd grown up with technology. Her finger paused over one entry. Emergency, Dad's office. Flight departure, 12 minutes remaining. The boarding announcement echoed through the gate area. American Airlines Flight 447 to Atlanta. We will begin boarding first-class passengers in 10 minutes. All first-class passengers except 2. Kendrick looked at his daughter, then at the crowd of strangers who had become unwitting witnesses to their humiliation. Jenny's live stream was now at 15,000 viewers and climbing. Amara, he said quietly, remember what I taught you about quiet strength? She nodded, her small hand steady as she typed a single text message. Code red, gate B7, need help. The message went to a contact simply labeled, Board Emergency Line. Flight departure, 10 minutes remaining. Chief Flight Attendant Carol Martinez clicked across the gate area in her polished heels, her supervisor badge gleaming under the fluorescent lights. She'd been called from the VIP lounge where she'd been handling a delayed senator's connecting flight. What's the situation here? Her voice carried the authority of 15 years managing difficult passengers. Brenda straightened her uniform. Fraudulent first-class tickets, ma'am. Father and daughter, classic scam operation. Carol's eyes swept over Kendrick and Amara with practiced efficiency. Faded jeans, basic polo shirt, sneakers that had seen better days, an 8-year-old in a simple purple dress and worn backpack. Nothing screamed money. Have you verified the tickets through our system? Carol asked. The physical tickets appear legitimate, Patricia admitted reluctantly. But that doesn't mean... It means they're real. A voice cut through the conversation. Dr. Sarah Chen, a pediatric oncologist heading to the same Atlanta conference as Kendrick, stepped forward from the crowd. She'd been watching the entire scene unfold with growing disgust. I know this family. That little girl is my patient's daughter from support group meetings. Flight departure, 8 minutes remaining. Carol's expression didn't change. Ma'am, I appreciate your concern, but we have protocols. These tickets could have been purchased with stolen credit cards. Run the credit card verification then, Kendrick said quietly. We don't have time for that, Carol snapped. We have a schedule to maintain. The irony hung heavy in the air. No time to verify legitimacy, but plenty of time for public humiliation. Jenny's Instagram Live had exploded to 23,000 viewers. The comments were a waterfall of outrage. This is 2025 and we're still doing this? Those flight attendants need to be fired. Someone get that baby some help. I'm never flying American again. Screenshots were spreading across Twitter faster than wildfire. Someone had already created a petition to hold American Airlines accountable for discrimination. Flight departure. 6 minutes remaining. Security Officer Park shifted uncomfortably. His training told him to follow the airline's lead, but his gut told him something was wrong. The little girl was clearly sick, and the father's calm demeanor didn't match the profile of a typical scammer. Maybe we should just verify the tickets in the system, he suggested. Officer Park, Carol's voice turned icy. Are you questioning our professional judgment? No, ma'am, but then please escort these individuals away from our gate so we can board our legitimate passengers. The word legitimate hit like a slap. Kendrick felt Amara's hand tighten in his. Her breathing was getting worse. Daddy, I need my medicine, she whispered. Kendrick looked toward their carry-on bag, sitting just inside the jetway where Brenda had moved it during the initial confrontation. Her emergency medication is in that bag. You should have thought of that before trying to scam your way onto my plane, Brenda said. Flight departure, 5 minutes remaining. The crowd was getting restless. Dr. Chen pushed forward again. This is medical negligence. That child needs her medication now. Back off, lady, Brenda warned, or you'll be joining them off this flight. You can't threaten passengers for speaking up, called out Marcus Thompson, a civil rights lawyer who'd been documenting everything on his phone. Watch me. Carol stepped between them and the gate. Anyone else who interferes will be placed on our no-fly list. The threat worked. Most passengers stepped back, but their phones kept recording. Jenny's live stream hit 35,000 viewers. The American Airlines customer service phone lines were reportedly jammed with complaint calls. #Americans Against Discrimination was trending nationally. Airport manager David Harrison received the first emergency call on his office phone. Sir, we have a situation at Gate B7. Viral social media incident involving alleged discrimination. Legal exposure appears significant. How significant? Harrison was already grabbing his jacket. Over 40,000 viewers and climbing. News outlets are picking it up. Could be a PR disaster. Flight departure, 4 minutes remaining. More airline staff began arriving. Customer service supervisors, ground crew managers, airport police backup. What had started as a simple gate dispute was becoming a corporate crisis. Regional operations manager Janet Walsh pushed through the crowd, her American Airlines blazer marking her as senior management. She took one look at the scene, phones recording everywhere, a sick child on the floor, staff looking increasingly defensive, and knew they were in deep trouble. What exactly is the problem here? She demanded. Fraudulent tickets, Carol repeated, but her voice lacked its earlier conviction. Show me the verification. We haven't had time to run full verification. You haven't? Walsh's eyes widened. You're accusing passengers of fraud without verification in front of cameras? Amara's condition was deteriorating. The stress had triggered what Kendrick recognized as the beginning of a sickle cell crisis. Her skin was taking on a grayish pallor, and her breathing was shallow. She needs to get to a hospital, Dr. Chen announced loudly. This is a medical emergency. Convenient timing, Carol sneered. Right when we're about to remove them. Are you serious right now? Dr. Chen's professional composure cracked. I'm a doctor. This child is in crisis. So you claim. Flight departure, 3 minutes remaining. Walsh stepped forward, her management training kicking in. This was spiraling out of control. Let's everyone take a step back. Sir, I apologize for this confusion. Let me personally verify your tickets. Too late for that, Brenda muttered under her breath, but loud enough for the microphones to catch. Excuse me? Walsh turned on her subordinate. I said it's too late. We've already established they're fraudulent. You've established nothing without system verification. The crowd sensed the shift in power dynamics. Murmurs of approval rippled through the witnesses as management began questioning the crew's actions. Jenny's live stream chat exploded with comments. Finally, someone with sense! Fire all of them! That little girl needs help! Justice is coming! Flight departure. 2 minutes remaining. Kendrick knelt beside his daughter, pulling out his own phone. He scrolled to a contact labeled simply emergency. His thumb hovered over the call button. Amara, remember what we practiced? She nodded weakly and pulled out her phone again. This time she opened an app that looked like a standard airline app, but the interface was different. Premium, exclusive, Chairman's Circle Elite status. Account, Johnson Family Trust. Available balance, $2.4 million. Walsh noticed the expensive phone in the child's hands. Something clicked. Sir, may I see your identification again? Kendrick handed over his driver's license. Walsh's eyes widened as she read the name, then looked more carefully at the man in front of her. Dr. Johnson? Kendrick Johnson? Yes. The Dr. Johnson from MedTech Innovations? That's correct. The crowd fell silent. Even Brenda seemed to sense that something had shifted. Flight departure. 1 minute remaining. Final boarding call for American Airlines Flight 447 to Atlanta. The gate was chaotic now. Legitimate first-class passengers were demanding to board. The crowd of witnesses had grown to over 50 people. Airport security supervisors were being called to manage the situation. Carol grabbed her radio. Operations, we need additional security at Gate B7. Multiple disruptive passengers refusing to comply with crew instructions. That's not what's happening, shouted Jenny, still streaming live. They're discriminating against a sick child. Turn off that camera or you're off this flight too. Actually, Marcus Thompson stepped forward, his lawyer instincts kicking in. She has every legal right to record in a public area of the airport. Sir, you need to... I need to do what? Exercise my constitutional rights? Document potential civil rights violations? Walsh was frantically typing on her tablet, pulling up passenger information. The system was slow, but eventually the data loaded. Her face went pale. Flight departure. Time expired. Kendrick made his decision. He pressed the emergency contact on his phone. Code red confirmed, he said quietly into the phone. Gate B7, American Airlines Flight 447. The voice on the other end was crisp, professional. Understood, Dr. Johnson. Emergency protocols activated. Stand by. Amara looked up at her father with tired eyes. Daddy, should I send the message now? Not yet, Princess. Let's give them one more chance to do the right thing. The gate monitor flashed red. Boarding delayed, operational issue. Carol's radio crackled. Gate B7, this is operations. We're showing a system hold on flight 447. Please confirm my status. What system holds? Carol grabbed her radio. We're ready for departure. Negative, B7. Flight is grounded pending executive review. Please maintain the current passenger manifest and prepare for management arrival. Carol's face went white. Executive review? What executive review? Jenny's live stream hit 50,000 viewers. The chat was moving too fast to read, but one message kept repeating, someone with power is watching this. Flight departure, delayed indefinitely. The silence that followed the radio announcement was deafening. 50 passengers stood frozen at Gate B7, their phones still recording, waiting for someone to explain why their flight had just been grounded by mysterious executive review. Walsh stared at her tablet screen, her face growing paler by the second. The passenger manifest showed what she'd feared, Dr. Kendrick Johnson, MedTech Innovations, Chairman's Circle Elite, but there was more data loading, and each line made her stomach drop further. Ma'am? Carol's voice cracked. What executive review? Walsh couldn't speak. The screen showed booking details that made no sense. Johnson Family Trust. 47 first-class seats were purchased. Total cost, $127,340. Payment method, American Express Centurion card. Amara tugged on her father's shirt. Daddy, my chest really hurts. Kendrick's protective instincts overrode everything else. He scooped his daughter into his arms, her small body trembling against his chest. I know, Princess. Just breathe with me. Jenny's live stream audience had swelled to 62,000 viewers. The comments were a blur of speculation. Why is the flight grounded? Someone important is involved. That man knows something. Plot twist incoming. Operational delay, CEO intervention. Amara reached into her purple backpack with shaking hands. She pulled out her phone again, but this time she opened a different app. The interface was sleek, premium, unlike anything a typical 8-year-old would have access to. American Airlines Executive Portal. User A. Johnson. Minor account. Authorization level. Board family member available functions. Fleet management override. Dr. Chen pushed through the crowd, her medical training taking precedence over airport politics. That child needs immediate medical attention. This stress is triggering a sickle cell crisis. Back away from my passengers, Brenda snapped, but her voice lacked its earlier conviction. Your passengers? Dr. Chen's eyebrows shot up. Lady, you don't own this airline. Amara looked up at her father with exhausted eyes. Daddy, should I show them? Kendrick hesitated. Once they revealed the truth, there would be no going back. Their quiet family life would be over. But looking at his daughter's pale face, the decision made itself. Show them, sweetheart. Amara held up her phone so everyone could see the screen. The app interface was unmistakable. It wasn't a passenger app. It was an administrative portal that only airline executives and board members had access to. Current user, Amara Johnson. Minor, account type, board family, immediate relatives, flight tracking, 47 seats purchased. Flight AA 447. Override authority. Operational holds, crew reviews, flight delays. The crowd pressed closer, trying to understand what they were seeing. Marcus Thompson, the lawyer, was the first to piece it together. Holy shit, he whispered, then louder. Do you people realize who you just humiliated? Walsh was frantically scrolling through her tablet, accessing files that required executive clearance. Johnson Family Trust, holdings, American Airlines stock, percentage, 11.7% of total shares. Market value, $356.86 million. Board position, Dr. Kendrick Johnson, chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee. Emergency contacts, American Airlines CEO Robert Mitchell, direct line. Oh my God, Walsh breathed. But Amara wasn't finished. She swiped to another screen, her small fingers navigating the interface with practiced ease. A contact list appeared, filled with names that made Walsh's blood run cold. Asterisk Dad's office, American Airlines Board. Emergency line asterisk Uncle Robert. CEO direct asterisk Grandma Rose. Investor Relations VP asterisk Dr. Marcus Williams. Memorial Foundation. Board Chairman Brenda's confident smirk disappeared like smoke. She took a step backward, her eyes fixed on the phone screen, trying to process what she was seeing. Carol stepped closer to Walsh's tablet, reading over her shoulder. When she saw the shareholding percentage, her knees nearly buckled. Officer Park noticed the expensive medical equipment scattered around Amara's feet. Devices he'd mistaken for toys were actually sophisticated monitoring equipment worth thousands of dollars. Patricia's hands shook as she realized she'd accused the daughter of one of American Airlines' largest shareholders of ticket fraud. Jenny's live stream audience erupted. She's connected to the airline. Her family owns the company. Owns the I. This is about to get real. Heads are gonna roll. Amara's phone showed one unread message in a thread labeled Emergency Board Meeting. Vote scheduled for 3:15 p.m. Quarterly projections and operational oversight review. Your attendance is required. Uncle Robert. The timestamp showed the message had been sent 20 minutes ago, right around the time the confrontation began. But there was another contact that no one had noticed yet, buried in her favorites list. Emergency, Dad's work phone. The subtitle read, CEO Direct Line, Board Emergency Protocols. Kendrick noticed the crowd staring at his daughter's phone and made a decision. He pulled out his own device and dialed a number from memory. Robert? It's Kendrick. We have a problem at Gate B7. The name Robert sent a ripple through the crowd. Anyone familiar with American Airlines knew there was only one Robert who mattered. CEO Robert Mitchell. Dr. Chen's eyes widened. You're calling the CEO directly? He's my brother-in-law, Kendrick said simply. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Jenny's live stream chat exploded. CEO is his brother-in-law? Family owns the airline? Those employees are so fired. Marcus Thompson started laughing, not from humor, but from the sheer magnitude of the mistake these employees had made. Lady, he said to Brenda, you just discriminated against the boss's family. Now that people were looking closely, the signs had been there all along. Amara's medical bracelet wasn't just any alert jewelry. It was custom platinum with the inscription, Dr. Marcus Williams Memorial Foundation, board chairman's granddaughter. Her backpack, which had looked like a simple purple bag, bore a small embroidered logo, Johnson Family Trust. The carry-on bag Brenda had moved contained not just medication, but a laptop case with American Airlines Medical Advisory Committee stickers. Kendrick's boarding pass, when pieced back together, showed seat 2A, the premier first-class seat reserved for the airline's most important passengers. Walsh found her voice first. "Dr. Johnson, I am so incredibly sorry. This is a complete misunderstanding." "No." Kendrick's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. "This isn't a misunderstanding. This is exactly what it appears to be." His phone was still connected to the CEO. Robert Mitchell's voice came through clearly enough for everyone to hear. "Kendrick, are you telling me my staff discriminated against Amara, my goddaughter? That's exactly what I'm telling you. Put me on speaker." Kendrick complied. The CEO's voice filled the gate area. "This is Robert Mitchell, CEO of American Airlines. I want every employee involved in this incident to remain exactly where they are. I'm personally flying to Newark to handle this situation. Flight status, delayed pending executive arrival, CEO, arrival, 45 minutes. The gate area had transformed into a corporate war zone. Word of the incident had spread beyond social media. American Airlines stock was already down 3.2% in after-hours trading. Financial news outlets were picking up the story. Crisis management teams were being assembled in boardrooms across the country. Amara sat in her father's lap, her breathing slowly stabilizing now that the immediate stress had passed. But Kendrick could see the toll the confrontation had taken on her small body. Her sickle cell crisis was manageable for now, but she needed proper medical attention soon. "Daddy," she whispered, "can I tell them the numbers now?" Kendrick looked at the airline employees who had tormented his daughter. They stood in a tight cluster, their earlier arrogance replaced by barely concealed panic. "Yes, Princess. Tell them exactly what this is going to cost." Amara pulled out her phone again, this time opening a financial app that no 8-year-old should have had access to. The interface showed real-time American Airlines data that even most employees couldn't see. "American Airlines stock price," she read in her clear, young voice, $127.45 per share. The crowd leaned in, mesmerized by the child's calm recitation of corporate data. "Williams Family Trust Holdings, 2.8 million shares." Marcus Thompson, the lawyer, was already calculating on his phone. "That's over $350 million in holdings." $356.86 million, Amara corrected politely. "Annual shareholder voting power, 11.7%. Jenny's live-stream chat exploded with real-time commentary. "She's reading stock data like a CFO. This kid knows more about the airline than the employees. They messed with the wrong family. Stock is tanking in real time." Walsh's tablet was buzzing with incoming messages from corporate headquarters. Each notification brought worse news. The legal department had already identified multiple violation categories floating across her screen. Americans with Disabilities Act, denial of medical accommodation, potential damages $50,000, $500,000 per incident. Civil Rights Act Section 1981, discrimination in public accommodation. Potential damages $100,000, $2 million per incident. Airline Consumer Protection Regulations, denial of paid service without cause. Potential damages $25,000, $1 million per incident. Corporate liability exposure from social media documentation, $50, $100 million in class action lawsuit potential. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her medical expertise adding another layer of legal complexity. "I'm documenting a deliberate denial of medical care to a child in crisis. That's medical negligence, possibly criminal." "Oh," Brenda finally found her voice, but it came out as a croak. "We didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't ask," Kendrick said quietly. "You made assumptions based on our skin color and my casual clothes." Patricia tried to salvage the situation. "Sir, perhaps we can resolve this quietly. Move you to first class, upgrade your service." "Quietly?" Marcus Thompson laughed bitterly. "Lady, there are 130,000 people watching this live. The time for quiet passed when you humiliated a sick child." The live stream counter continued climbing. 134,000, 137,000, 142,000 viewers. Screenshots were being shared across every major social platform. News outlets were beginning to pick up the story from social media feeds. Airport manager David Harrison finally arrived, flanked by two corporate crisis management specialists who had somehow materialized faster than should have been possible. His face was grim as he surveyed the scene. Dozens of passengers with phones out, a sick child in her father's arms, and staff who looked like they wanted to disappear. "Dr. Johnson," Harrison said carefully, "I understand there's been a significant misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Kendrick replied. "This is exactly what it looks like." Amara's phone rang. The ringtone was "Fly Me to the Moon," a family joke that wasn't funny anymore. She answered on speaker, her small voice carrying clearly across the gate area. "Hi, Uncle Robert." "Hi, sweetheart, are you okay? Daddy told me some people were mean to you. They said we were liars and thieves. They tore up our ticket and wouldn't let me get my medicine." The CEO's voice hardened. "Put the ranking airline official on the phone, now." Walsh stepped forward with trembling hands. "This is Janet Walsh, Regional Operations Manager." "Miss Walsh, you have exactly 60 seconds to explain why my goddaughter was denied boarding on her own family's airline." "Sir, there was a misunderstanding about ticket verification." "No misunderstanding. I'm looking at the security footage right now. Your staff racially profiled an 8-year-old girl and her father in front of cameras while denying medical care." The silence stretched like a taut wire. "Here's what's going to happen," Mitchell continued. "Every employee involved in this incident is suspended immediately. No exceptions." Carol tried to interrupt. "Sir, we were following protocol." "You were following prejudice. There's a difference." Harrison's crisis management specialists were frantically typing on their tablets, implementing damage control protocols. One leaned over to whisper urgently in his ear, "Stock price down 4.1% and falling. Twitter is trending in 47 countries. We need immediate action." Mitchell's voice filled the gate area like a judge delivering a verdict. "Miss Walsh, I want you to understand the full scope of what just happened here." "Yes, sir." The Johnson Family Trust doesn't just own stock in American Airlines. They control pension funds worth $2.4 billion. Those funds represent 847,000 passengers annually. Walsh's face went white. She was doing the math. Revenue impact, customer lifetime value, network effects. "Dr. Johnson sits on our medical advisory committee. His foundation provides medical transport for critically ill children. His research has saved us millions in liability insurance by improving our medical emergency protocols." Amara coughed slightly, and Kendrick immediately checked her breathing. The gesture wasn't lost on anyone watching. Several passengers in the crowd were visibly emotional, some wiping away tears. "But more importantly," Mitchell's voice grew cold, "Amara is my brother's daughter. She calls me Uncle Robert because I'm married to her aunt. She's not just a shareholder, she's family." Dr. Chen moved closer to Amara, her medical training overriding corporate politics. "Her oxygen saturation is low. She needs to be evaluated by a physician immediately." "The nearest children's hospital is 20 minutes away," Harrison said, pulling out his phone. "No," Kendrick said firmly. "She has an appointment at Atlanta Children's Hospital, that's why we're here." "Sir, given her condition is stable. What's not stable is your airline's reputation." The CEO's ultimatum was delivered with surgical precision. "Here are your options. Option 1, full accountability, immediate termination of involved staff, comprehensive policy reform, and a public apology. Option 2, I call an emergency shareholder meeting. The Johnson Family Trust votes no confidence in current management. The board follows their lead because they always do. New management cleans the house anyway, but now we've wasted time and money." Option 3, Dr. Johnson activates the discrimination clause in our partnership agreements. 847,000 passengers received notice that American Airlines is under federal investigation for civil rights violations. They're encouraged to fly with our competitors. Walsh was frantically taking notes, but her hands were shaking too badly to write clearly. Option 4, this goes legal. Civil rights lawsuit, class action suit, federal investigation, and congressional hearings. The Johnson Foundation has very good lawyers and unlimited resources. Amara, still sitting in her father's lap, opened another app on her phone. This one showed American Airlines real-time operational data. Current daily revenue, $18.7 million, she read. Annual revenue dependent on Johnson Foundation partnerships, $180 million. Insurance liability if a medical discrimination lawsuit succeeds, $75 million immediate exposure. Stock price impact if this story reaches national news, estimated 12 to 20% decline. Marcus Thompson whistled low. The kid knows her numbers. She should, Kendrick said. She's been attending board meetings since she was 5. CEO arrival, 30 minutes. Walsh's radio crackled with incoming updates from corporate headquarters. Regional operations, this is crisis management. We're showing significant social media activity related to Gate B7. Please confirm the status of involved personnel. This is executive communications. We need immediate statements from all staff involved in the Newark incident. Legal is standing by. This is investor relations. The stock price is dropping. We need damage control protocols activated immediately. This is federal affairs. Congressional offices are calling. We need talking points immediately. Jenny's live stream had reached 158,000 viewers. #Americans Against Discrimination was trending in 12 countries. News vans were already heading to Newark Airport. Local television stations were sending crews. Flight attendant Brenda Matthews was quietly escorted away by airport security. Her 15-year career was effectively over, not just with American Airlines, but likely with any major carrier. The aviation industry was small, and word traveled fast. Carol Martinez found herself face-to-face with 2 corporate representatives who had somehow arrived faster than seemed possible. They were polite but firm. Her supervisor certification was suspended pending investigation. Her badge and access cards were collected on the spot. Officer Park was dealing with his own supervisors, who were asking pointed questions about why he'd supported the airline's position without conducting proper verification. His union representative was already en route. American Airlines emergency response protocols activated with military precision. Crisis management teams secured conference rooms and initialized media strategies. Legal departments prepared settlement authorities and initiated liability assessments. Customer service recovery specialists received priority dispatch orders to Gate B7. Media relations departments briefed spokespeople and scheduled executive interviews. But the real power shift was more subtle. Regional managers across the airline system received a system-wide alert. All passenger discrimination complaints to be escalated immediately to executive level, no exceptions. Flight scheduling systems were updated with new protocols for medical accommodation requests. Training departments received urgent mandates to develop bias recognition programs. The insurance department began calculating policy adjustments for civil rights coverage. CEO arrival, 15 minutes. A new voice came through Walsh's radio. This is Chief Legal Counsel Sarah Martinez. I'm authorized to offer immediate settlement terms to Dr. Johnson. Put it on speaker, Kendrick said. Dr. Johnson, American Airlines, formally apologizes for the treatment you and your daughter received. We're prepared to offer the following immediate remedies. Full refund of all ticket costs, plus punitive damages of $50,000. Guaranteed first-class accommodation on all future American Airlines flights for your entire family. A personal apology from our CEO, delivered in person. Immediate policy changes to prevent similar incidents. Kendrick looked down at his daughter. What do you think, Princess? Amara considered this with the seriousness of a child who had grown up around corporate negotiations. I think they need to promise that no other kids get treated like this. You heard her, Kendrick said into the radio. We're not interested in money. We want systemic change. CEO arrival. Imminent. The sound of expensive leather shoes clicking across polished terminal floors announced Robert Mitchell's arrival before anyone saw him. The CEO of American Airlines moved through Newark Airport like a force of nature, flanked by legal counsel, crisis management specialists, and a small army of corporate executives. He was younger than most people expected, 42 years old with the kind of quiet intensity that came from running a Fortune 500 company. But right now, he looked like an uncle who'd been told someone had hurt his niece. The crowd at Gate B7 parted as Mitchell approached. His eyes swept the scene. His goddaughter sitting pale and exhausted in her father's arms, dozens of passengers with phones still recording, and his airline employees looking like they wanted to disappear into the floor. "Amara," he said softly, kneeling in front of Kendrick's chair. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" "Better now that you're here, Uncle Robert." Her voice was tired but steady. Mitchell's jaw tightened as he stood and faced his employees. "Miss Walsh, Miss Martinez, Miss Matthews. Oh, wait, Miss Matthews has already been escorted away. Good." The remaining staff stood at attention like soldiers awaiting court-martial. "Explain to me," Mitchell said, his voice deadly calm, "how 3 experienced airline professionals decided that an 8-year-old girl with a first-class ticket was running a scam operation." Walsh tried to speak first. "Sir, the tickets appeared suspicious." "Appeared suspicious? How?" "They were purchased through our own system with a valid credit card from an account holder we've known for 15 years. The passengers didn't look like they could afford first-class—" "Stop!" Mitchell held up a hand. "Did you just tell me that you profiled passengers based on their appearance?" The silence was damning. Jenny's live stream had reached 203,000 viewers. The chat was moving so fast it looked like digital static. "CEO is pissed. Justice is coming. Those employees are done." This is what accountability looks like. Mitchell turned to address the crowd of passengers who had witnessed the entire incident. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am Robert Mitchell, CEO of American Airlines. What you witnessed today is not representative of our company's values, and I personally guarantee it will never happen again." He pulled out his phone and made a call on speaker. "Board emergency line, this is Robert. I need an immediate vote on operational policy changes. Yes, right now." The corporate machinery moved with ruthless efficiency. Within minutes, Mitchell's legal team had prepared termination paperwork for Brenda Matthews. Her discriminatory actions, captured on multiple video streams and witnessed by dozens of passengers, constituted grounds for immediate dismissal. Carol Martinez received a formal suspension pending full investigation. Her supervisor credentials were revoked, and she would be required to complete extensive bias training before any consideration of reinstatement. Patricia Wilson faced similar consequences: suspension without pay and mandatory retraining. Her gate agent certification was under review by airport authorities. "Dr. Johnson," Mitchell said, "I want you to understand that these are not just disciplinary actions. These are permanent changes to how we operate." Kendrick nodded, still holding Amara close. "What kind of changes?" Mitchell gestured to one of his executives, who began reading from a tablet. "Effective immediately. Zero-tolerance discrimination protocol. First incident of verified bias results in immediate suspension. Investigation period not to exceed 72 hours. Proven discrimination results in termination and industry blacklist." The crowd murmured approval. This wasn't just corporate speak. This was policy with teeth. Second, enhanced medical emergency response system. All crew members will receive mandatory training in recognizing sickle cell crises, diabetic emergencies, and other chronic conditions affecting children. Amara looked up at this. "Will they know how to help kids like me?" "They will now," Mitchell promised. One of Mitchell's technology executives stepped forward with a prototype tablet. "Dr. Johnson, we'd like to show you something we've been developing." The screen displayed an application interface labeled Fair Fly with a sleek, user-friendly design. "This is a real-time bias reporting and accountability platform. Passengers can report discriminatory incidents immediately through our app. Each report triggers automatic investigation protocols." "Show me how it works," Kendrick said. The executive demonstrated. "Passenger selects Report Bias, fills out a brief form, and can upload video evidence directly. The report goes immediately to our executive team and legal department. No filtering through lower management." "What about accountability?" Marcus Thompson asked, his lawyer instincts engaged. "Each incident is tracked with a unique ID. Passengers receive regular updates on investigation status. Monthly bias statistics are published publicly on our website. Complete transparency." Mitchell added, "We're also implementing AI-powered bias detection in customer service interactions. If our system detects discriminatory language or behavior patterns, it triggers immediate supervisor intervention." The technology was impressive, but Amara had a more important question. What about other kids who don't have daddies with airplane companies? Mitchell's response showed he'd been thinking about this exact question. We're partnering with the NAACP, Anti-Defamation League, and disability rights advocates to completely redesign our training program. Every American Airlines employee, from baggage handlers to executives, will complete a mandatory 16-hour program covering unconscious bias recognition, cultural competency, and customer service excellence. The program includes real-world scenario training using actors to simulate discrimination situations. Employees must demonstrate competency, not just attendance. Dr. Chen stepped forward. What about medical training? This child could have died if her crisis had escalated. Medical accommodation training is now mandatory for all customer-facing staff. We're partnering with Children's Miracle Network hospitals to ensure our crew can recognize and respond to pediatric medical emergencies. The changes weren't just cosmetic. They represented a fundamental shift in how the airline would operate. Mitchell's CFO joined the group, carrying a leather portfolio. Dr. Johnson, we want to put our money where our mouth is. $2.5 million immediate donation to the Sickle Cell Disease Foundation. $50,000 annual scholarship fund for underrepresented students pursuing careers in aviation. Free medical transport program for chronically ill children who need specialized care in distant cities. Partnership agreement with Children's Miracle Network hospitals to provide emergency transportation nationwide. Amara's eyes lit up at this last point. Really? Other sick kids won't have to worry about airplane tickets? Never again, Mitchell promised. But there was more. The CFO continued. We're also establishing the Amara Johnson Dignity and Travel Fund. This foundation will investigate discrimination complaints across all airlines and advocate for industry-wide policy changes. Mitchell's ambitions extended beyond American Airlines. We're sharing our new bias detection technology with other carriers. This isn't about competitive advantage. It's about human dignity. We're proposing industry-wide standards for discrimination reporting. Every major airline should have real-time bias monitoring. Congressional testimony is scheduled for next month. We're advocating for federal legislation requiring bias training for all transportation employees. International partnerships are being developed. We want these standards implemented globally. The scope was breathtaking. One incident at Gate B7 was driving transformation across an entire industry. Dr. Chen had been monitoring Amara throughout the conversation. Her condition is stable, but she should be evaluated soon. Mitchell immediately activated the airline's medical emergency protocols. We have a medical transport aircraft standing by. Dr. Johnson, we can have you in Atlanta within 2 hours. The Children's Hospital has been notified. Dr. Sarah Patterson, head of pediatric hematology, is expecting Amara personally. All medical expenses related to this incident will be covered by American Airlines. Kendrick looked at his daughter. What do you think, Princess? Ready to see Dr. Patterson? Amara nodded, then looked at the crowd of passengers who had supported her. Can I say something first? Mitchell helped Amara stand so everyone could see her clearly. Jenny adjusted her phone to capture the moment. I want to thank everyone who stood up for me today, Amara said, her young voice carrying across the gate area. My daddy always tells me that change happens when good people refuse to stay quiet. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. I hope this helps other kids who look like me. Nobody should be treated badly because of their skin color or because they're sick. And I hope those people who were mean to me learn to be better. Daddy says everyone deserves a second chance if they're willing to change. The crowd erupted in applause. Jenny's live-stream chat is filled with heart emojis and crying faces. Mitchell personally escorted Kendrick and Amara to the medical transport aircraft. The plane was equipped with pediatric medical equipment and staffed with a flight nurse specializing in sickle cell care. As they boarded, Amara turned back to wave at the crowd still gathered at Gate B7. Many were crying. All were recording this moment of justice and dignity. Uncle Robert, she said as they settled into the luxurious cabin, do you think this will really help other kids? I think you just changed the world, sweetheart. Flight status. Medical transport departing 6 months later. The Amara Johnson Dignity and Travel Fund had processed 847 discrimination complaints across 12 airlines. Each case was investigated with the same thoroughness that had transformed American Airlines policies. Amara, now healthier thanks to her Atlanta treatment, had become the youngest spokesperson for sickle cell awareness. Her testimony before Congress led to the Pediatric Medical Accommodation Act, requiring all transportation companies to train staff in childhood chronic illness recognition. Dr. Kendrick Johnson joined American Airlines Board of Directors, ensuring that profit never again superseded human dignity. The Farefly app had been downloaded 2.3 million times, creating an industry-wide accountability network. The Williams Family Trust expanded beyond medical research into aviation equality. Their scholarship program had enrolled 127 minority students in pilot training programs, breaking barriers in an industry that had excluded too many for too long. Quiet dignity had proven more powerful than loud confrontation. Strategic thinking has achieved more than emotional reaction. Data-driven action had created lasting change where hollow promises had failed. Most importantly, no child would face what Amara had endured at Gate B7. Have you witnessed injustice that could spark change? Share your story in the comments below. When we document discrimination, we create accountability. When we stand together, we transform systems. Every voice deserves to be heard. Every child deserves respect. Every traveler deserves dignity. Subscribe to Black Voices Uncut for more stories of quiet power creating loud change. Hit that notification bell, because courage comes in all sizes and change begins with each of us.
At Black Voices Uncut, we don't polish away the pain or water down the message. We tell it like it is because the truth deserves nothing less. If today's story spoke to you, click like, join the conversation in the comments, and subscribe so you'll be here for the next Uncut Voice.